Hi everyone. Today I'd like to share this enlightening book with you, Animal Spirit. Classical economics is misleading in the analysis of various problems in the economic crisis because they ignore that human nature is the basic driving force on economic development, and many of these forces are related to the animal spirit. Therefore, those animal spirits that cannot be quantified are the most likely answers to understand and solve economic problems. This book is written by Professor George Akerlof and Professor Robert Shearer. George Akerlof is the Chief Professor of Economics at the University of California, Berkeley, and won the Nobel Prize in Economics in 2001. He successfully introduced sociology, psychology, anthropology, and more into economics. Author Robert Shearer is a professor of finance at Yale University and won the Nobel Prize in Economics in 2013. He is also a best-selling author. This book mainly introduces and unlocks why traditional macroeconomics theory cannot reveal the root cause of the economic crisis. Why are traditional economic policies unable to revitalize global economy prosperity? This book is not only a subversion of traditional macroeconomic theory and policy, but also a solution to people who are looking for answers to those questions. This book can be summarized into 5 parts. Now, let's take a closer look at the book. Number 1. The confidence in economics is irrational. Many successful entrepreneurs did not start their journeys based on rational considerations, but completely as a result of blindness or a source of hormonal fearless impulses. This is the kind of psychology that creates the origin of capitalism, such as the trade in the Age of Discovery. Today, for example, countless young people go to Silicon Valley in New York to pursue their dreams. However, no one has really calculated the input-output ratio. They establish confidence based on the information of people around them and the information on the internet. As long as you work hard, everything is possible. The so-called investment confidence has come and gone in the history of the world of economic development, sometimes reasonably and sometimes unreasonably. Confidence is not only a rational prediction, but also the most important element in the animal spirit. On the other hand, this kind of vitality creates the capitalism and is the spiritual source of entrepreneurship. There are many negative factors that are neglected or unmeasurable in traditional economics because of the unreasonable confidence. Number 2. Fairness is a kind of happiness, and unfairness is an insult. Although the author's explanation of fairness is ambiguous and has not been carried out in depth, I still think that this is one of the most important points I have personally gained from this book. In modern enterprises, if there is a conflict within an organisation, the fuse is ultimately a matter of fairness. The pursuit of fair distribution in human nature makes us always ignore the difference between ourselves and others in terms of experience, education level, and thinking ability. On the contrary, we will conduct a fair comparison between colleagues, superiors, and subordinates, and be dissatisfied with the difference in income and wealth. For example, Uber's prices rise according to many people's increased demand for cars on rainy days. However, this situation causes many people's resentment and even being reprimanded by the public. So, people's understanding of fairness needs to be considered when formulating economic policies or setting economic models. Otherwise, like the traditional models, it will be very hard when explaining the reality. This is why, in the enterprise, inquiring about the income of colleagues or superiors is a big taboo. It is likely to induce an organisation falling apart. Number 3. Corruption and fraud. Corruption and fraud represent the dark side of economic operations. But you know what? The other side is innovation. Does this opinion subvert your cognition? Why did the author say this? Because the innovation in economics means the destruction of the original rules. Only successful innovation can benefit everyone, as a new rule must generally be accepted. The failed innovation will be criticised for fraud and misusing the rights. The three crises in the United States are all related to corruption. For example, the most recent subprime mortgage crisis was caused by the collapse of junk bonds and hedge funds, banks and insurance companies, which led to the collapse of the asset bubble and triggered the global disaster. However, before this, when people enjoyed the economic benefits directly or indirectly, no one would blame it. Number 4. The currency illusion. Not everyone can correctly understand inflation and deflation. The United States had a recession in the 19th century, which led to deflation. In order to maintain the survival of enterprises, many business owners negotiated with workers in the hopes to ease their corporate crisis by reducing workers' salaries. Business owners believe that if there is inflation in society, workers will ask the business owners to raise their wages to buffer the rise in prices. Then, why should business owners not reduce their wages to ease the industrial crisis when deflation occurs? In reality, the workers refuse their reduction of their salaries. Obviously, you won't accept the company's request for a pay cut because of recession or deflation. People will always focus on the appearance value of currency, but ignore the actual hidden value behind the currency. Number 5. Telling a good story will become a powerful assurance to stimulate economic recovery. Not everyone can, like an economist, abstract a complex and precarious economic situation into a sophisticated mathematical formula. Society is a drama for people, not a cold mathematical formula. If you wish to re-establish the confidence of investors, you can use the stories such as American Dream and Chinese Renaissance to stimulate the economic recovery. The role of marketing in the economy goes far beyond our imagination. Lastly, to sum up, in such an unreliable world full of animal spirits, the role of the government is to set conditions and formulate rules of the game to make the animal spirit work more creatively. Those who say that the economy system should be laissez-faire have not well recognised how unreliable a society is if the society is formed by the unreliable people. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe below.